next, we want to talk about the updated Marvel slate that was kind of released before D23. They, in short, ended up taking one of their dates off of their 2026, I think, timeline, and added another one to 2027, from what I hear. So now there's, for next year, we have 4 movies scheduled, which is Captain America: Brave New World, then Thunderbolts, then Fantastic Four, and then Blade. And then 2026, we have an unannounced film, then Avengers Doomsday, then another unannounced film. And then 2027, we have Secret Wars, and then 2 unannounced films after that. So I guess I kind of want to discuss with you, like, what you thought these unannounced films are, because for the most part, everything that was announced in phase 4 and 5 and 6 from like before phase 4 even started has come out at this point. You know, we're really just waiting on Fantastic Four and the Avengers movies. So, yeah, what are your thoughts?
So let's be clear. There are 3 movies coming out next year.
You don't think Blade's coming out next year? Huh?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There is, first of all, the movie that is coming out in July, which is only
now filming, right?
Which is just now filming, which would be coming out in July. So if Blade even wants to get to the November release date, they have to start filming at least in the next 2 to 3 months.
Right.
Which is not happening. So Blade Blade is either not happening or it is moving to one of these release dates, which could be
honestly, I think could be good. Like, I think a Blade movie in between Doomsday and Secret Wars could be dope.
Yes. Yeah. I would, if I was to replace one of the picks that I have, I would put it there. That's where I would put it.
Right.
Because I don't think he's going to show up in Avengers Doomsday. I don't see where that would necessarily fit in. But considering that, my list, which is kind of, some of them can be kind of interchangeable, but the way I was thinking about it is February 13th. We haven't seen Destin Daniel Cretton has he was originally attached to Avengers 5, but he's still working on Shang-Chi 2. And there's been a lot of rumblings about like maybe him and Iron Fist, and it seems like it's still happening. And we haven't seen Shang-Chi since 2021. So assuming he's going to be a part of the Avengers, which I can't imagine that he's not going to be, and we don't really know what's going on with him since 2021. I think it's high. I think it's a high, and also it was a great movie, and a lot of people like it. I think we have a high likelihood of seeing him in that February 13th, 2026 spot.
Agreed.
The one in November 6th after Doomsday, if it's not Blade, I thought about this, and as much as I think it would be important, like as much as as big of a character as Doctor Strange is, if he doesn't come out in, you could also do Doctor Strange in a February 13th spot before Doomsday. But, But this is my thinking.
Right.
He doesn't need to be in Doomsday. The last we saw of him, he went to another dimension,
a different universe, right? Yeah,
with Clea, and it's like we know nothing about Clea at this point. We know nothing about Charlize Theron's character. So for him to just pop up out of nowhere, I'm sure people could do it. I'm sure that you could write a script around it. But considering he's dealing with incursions, I don't think it has a lot to do with whatever's probably happening in Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense in the same way that like Ant-Man and the Wasp, even though like that was just like a refresher, like, oh, this is a fun little movie. At the end, you kind of saw what happened, and then it set up Ant-Man as being stuck in the quantum realm.
Right.
Not that I think it would be the same, but it would make more sense to learn more about incursions and whatnot in Doctor Strange 3.
That's a good idea.
So put him in that November 6th spot, and then you go into Secret Wars. So you already know what's going on with Doctor Strange. You set him up as like, you find out where he is at the end of that. And and obviously, or most likely leads into the events of Secret Wars, and it'll be like kind of like hype, or like we can speculate on what that's going to be, kind of the same way that we did with Ant-Man.
Right.
After Secret Wars, the July spot, because I don't think that you can have Doctor Strange 3 definitely has to happen so it's either going to happen on February 13th of 2026 or November of 2026. I don't think it can happen after Avengers Secret Wars. I think it'd be weird, right? But it could. I mean, like
it really could.
It could. I just, it could do the whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing.
Yeah.
But I would prefer. But that wasn't planned. That was they didn't want. That's not how they originally they were going to do that, right?
Right.
So, I don't think. I know for a fact that I think that the November spot in 2027 is X-Men.
You think so? Okay.
Yes. I think that's when you put it out. For July, I'm torn.
It's so funny how our lists are pretty different, to be honest.
But for July, I think that July could be Spider-Man 4.
Yeah. And
if it's not Spider-Man, then I would swap out the two. But I'm a little hesitant about X-Men too, because like I think they'd want to keep that under wraps for a bit. So I don't even know if X-Men would be in like November 5th.
Right.
It could be into 2028. Because I think, after Secret Wars, there'll be X-Men. But I'm going to say X-Men because maybe something happens. But Spider-Man 4 definitely happening in 2027.
Okay. Interesting. So you have it as February 13th as Shang-Chi. Is that what I'm hearing?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have November 6th as Doctor Strange.
Yes.
And then July 23rd is X-Men.
No, it's Spider-Man.
Okay, July 23rd is Spider-Man, and then wow, yeah, our lists are a little different, not crazy different. I will say I don't have X-Men or Doctor Strange 3 in my list.
That's crazy.
I think you're also forgetting about a movie that they are heavily planning in Armor Wars. And I think Armor Wars has to come before Doomsday. So that is my pick for what would be February 13th.
I don't know if it has to.
I just don't. I don't know if people would care after Secret Wars and Doomsday. Like I don't know. I mean, sure, you can go back to small scale, but I feel like you have to like almost be looking towards other parts of the franchise, like after Secret Wars. Like I don't know if we could just go back to like Justin Hammer and the Armor Wars, and maybe Riri Williams is in it,
but it's not just Justin Hammer. It's also
and Warhammer, yeah, War Machine, or you're right.
It's also daughter of love interest that turned out to be the power broker in Falcon Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah,
like she's a big part of that.
Yeah, I can't remember, but she's Peggy Carter's like niece, or like I think grandniece or something. Yeah. Sure. There's a lot going on there, but I just feel like that should come before the grand multiversal conclusion. That's just my opinion on that.
Okay, if I know they're working on it. If it was to happen
mm-hmm.
2027, I would. Yes.
Yeah.
Probably February 13th. I would guess. Yes.
Yeah. So I would also say that I think Shang-Chi 2 is due. And I think I would put it between the two Avengers movies. I think that could be a cool, like you said, you could do something like Ant-Man 2 where it's somewhat of a prequel to the first Avengers movie, even though it's taking place or it's coming out after it.
Right.
So I think that could be a cool little bridge movie. And I don't know, but I do feel like a Spider-Man 4 should also come before the Avengers movies. So we know what's going on in his life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know, but there's just not enough. There's not enough movies that can come before the Avengers, you know?
If there was, because we don't know the script, but
yeah,
a lot of these are the movies that I think are going to happen. Maybe
right.
I did kind of forget Armor Wars, but if I had to interchange Spider-Man with anything, I would put it, I would probably put it in the February 3rd. Well, I don't know. I guess I'd put it in the February 13th or the November 6th. It's kind of interchangeable with those two. But I know Spider-Man No Way Home was like in the winter. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like that's a movie, like Spider-Man 4 is like another movie that you'd want to like put out in the summer. So that's why I mainly put it
July
there.
Is right. Yeah. I get it. I do get it. It's just, man, it feels hard to come back to Spider-Man after he's been in 2 Avengers movies, you know? And I get we did that with No Way Home. Actually, we did that with Far From Home, actually. Yeah. So maybe that's, you know what? Maybe that's a good, I'll give you, I'm going to put Spider-Man 4 at the July 23rd. I'm going to agree with you there. I think Shang-Chi 2 is going to be between the Avengers movies. And I think November 5th would be Thor 5 is what I'm going to say. I know we don't really need a Thor 5, but I think it's going to happen. I think they have higher priority of that over Doctor Strange 3 because I believe you can pick up. I think you can pick up like Doctor Strange's storyline where he's with Clea at the beginning of Doomsday. Like I think you could fit that into Avengers. And I know
you could.
I think they're also trying to do something with Young Avengers. I believe they're going to put that as well into Avengers Doomsday, the formation of the Young Avengers. I don't know if it gets its own movie in 2026 or 2027, you know? So
if Young Avengers was to happen, it would be a Disney Plus movie, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't think that it's...
You don't think it has a mass appeal?
Well, it's more of like you want to save the Avengers title.
Yeah.
For big events. And I don't know if putting like Young Avengers is like the best idea.
I feel you.
Like maybe as a Disney Plus movie. Sure.
Yeah. Or like, you know, one of those special presentations they do.
Yeah.
They did a couple of years ago.
Or like a Young Avengers TV show.
Yeah, I'd want it to have a better budget than a TV show, though, to be honest.
But can you say that when these budgets for these TV shows are like
are pretty high? Yeah,
high?
I agree. I guess I just want a little more quality for the Young Avengers,
right?
But, yeah, but yeah, I think we have some pretty different picks. I don't know. I just feel like they have so many things they can do and want to do in the next 3 years, and they don't have, you know, 4 movies coming out every year now to fit it all in.
All right. So here's considering what Bob Iger said about wanting to have hits. Right. I agree. Thor 5, as much as Thor Love and Thunder was like not greatly received.
Right.
There were still a lot of people who liked it, and it still made like 700 million, I believe. It is probably on its way. I agree.
But I don't disagree with you about Doctor Strange, because that also made a lot of money.
That made so much money.
I think it made like 800 million or something. The second one.
Might have made more than that.
I mean, it definitely didn't cross $1 billion. I know that. But it had a crazy opening weekend and then like fell off pretty harsh after that. I think it had like a 70% like decline in the next weekend or something.
Let's see, gross. It made 955 million.
Yeah, so I'm sure that's a priority for them as well. Yeah.
And then how much did Shang-Chi gross?
Shang-Chi, I think, made 800, 900, somewhere around there, I think. Could have been more, to be honest.
Actually might not have been that much.
Really?
Worldwide,
I remember it being a pretty big hit.
Yeah, so now granted, it was big. It was a big movie. You have to factor in when it came out.
Yeah, sure. It was, we were coming out of the pandemic, right?
We are just beginning to come out of the pandemic.
Right.
So 432, which was which was big.
Sure, but it's not what they needed from that movie, I'm sure.
But it was still big.
And we know they're planning to do a second one, so
yeah.
Yeah.
How much did Thor, Love, and Thunder?
Sorry, we're just doing some research live on the
worldwide gross. I'm just curious. Yeah, 760 million. Yeah. So I mean, it's
those movies that makes upwards of 700 mil. I think you're guaranteed to get a sequel to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think Doctor Strange 3 will come. I don't know if it's that important in the story at the moment to squeeze it in the next 3 years. You know?
I think it is.
But I feel
absolutely think it is.
I feel like you can tell the story that you need to tell with Doctor Strange within the Avengers movies, and then he can get his own story afterwards.
I agree.
Right.
I agree. But it could go either way. To me, it could go either way. You could be like, oh my God, guys, me and Cleo are just learning all about incursions and blah, and this is what's going to happen. You know, like, I agree. You could do it that way.
I don't hate where you have it in between the Avengers movies. I think that's a good spot. But I just feel like Shang-Chi is due more, and I think Spider-Man is maybe due more. And and Armor Wars is obviously pretty important and coming soon, I think. So that's just kind of where my head's at with these.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're super far off.
No.